Hi, hi, my people. To God be the glory. I come today sharing with you the reason of just, wanting to share with you guys, wanting to give you a clear understanding of what God is doing, what God is doing in the earth, what God is doing for his daughters and sons, and the kingdom of heaven on earth as it is in heaven. So we want to really understand what's going on here, and a lot of people are so, are asleep and also as blind. Okay, so we're out here, and people need to be waking up by enlightenment. You know, see, God does the increase, God does the calling, but you have to answer. And sometimes, um, like with me, only God, uh, gives me awareness and wakes me up, because I am the one that has to do the waking up and the calling. But He enlighten us. He calls us, and for the chosen ones, we are the ones that connects the source in the physical realm. We manifest what God is doing in us and through his people. We're doing, this is how he's doing with us. So we have to understand that we have to follow when we are introduced or being enlightened by, or being led by a man or woman. It is a chosen one, and you have to take heed to wake up. Either wake up, because God will call you, he will pull on your heart. But sometimes, this is how it works. He has to use another person here in the flesh to wake you up, like to put hands on you, to say, listen, to interact in the physical, because we are born and we are in these bodies. Our spiritual person is who God, who what God communicates with. That's why I say serve him in the spirit. So if you're not walking in the spirit, you're not going to be able to hear God. But I can hear God, okay? And I can relate to you so you can understand in the flesh, because Jesus did it for us so that we can do it. This is why Jesus did this, so that we can live and live life and according to his will and purposes. And this is how we're all connected, and things like that. So because of um the fall of man, which was what Adam did in the garden, it affected all human flesh, right? Because Adam was in the body, and but he wasn't in flesh until he ate the apple. Now he has to now we all had to endure with walking in these bodies. These bodies is really just what is it called? Like, it's like a car, or it's just like, this is our transportation with moving around with our spirit, okay? And then the spirit is led with our mind. Our bodies is led. And with it goes by our mind, heart, and soul. So our mind and soul is, our heart. Our mind, which is where the will is at, and our emotions is put together in our soul, which manifests as who we really are. Okay, that's why we have to understand that these things that we're dealing with, we have to go through them, right? So I'm here to let you know that, to wake you guys up, for the ones who's woken up, the ones who had to go through like me, because I was in it. Just like how Moses was in Egypt. He was raised in Egypt. He had it made, and he also was just living a life, but they weren't doing where God called his people to be doing. They were doing everything and anything they wanted to do, and not by God, right? So when we get back to following God in the kingdom of heaven, we have to understand that we are going to serve, right? And we should be willing to serve our God, our Father. He's our God when we're living in this world and we want to obey him. And then when it comes to understanding that he is, when we become a child of God, that's a different story. That's, we got to be born and things of that nature into the spirit. See, people don't understand it is a process, and it is things that had to come to pass before this happens for us to get to a place where we live and walk in who we call to be. In spite of what it looks like. See, a lot of people, they just look at the things that's going on in the world, and they just like God, and and it's so much misunderstanding before it even gets to deception. It's so much misunderstandings, and people haven't been aware or alert to understand how God speaks to us, how God is with us, and there's good, but you have to understand that you can't just get there by chance. You can't get there just because that there's a good. You can't. If that's the case, everything would be good and it wouldn't have been no reason for Jesus, right? So you got to understand this thing here, where we just have, if you choose to do good, because we have fallen nature, we have nature in us that's not good. It wasn't the only reason why we're good is because we know God, and God chose us. He chose us first. He loved us, and he gave us the spirit, which is our good. This is our higher self. This is who we truly are. And there's also, Satan, the devil, our fallen, which is a fallen angel, or cherubim, and he's going out. He's going out to the earth, to here and where we are, so that he can, or to the air, and the ruler of the air. He's come, so he sends spirits to seduce and to deceive us, to steal, kill, and destroy who we truly are. in our spirit. He don't want us to walk in our spirit. That is the power that we have in our God. He don't want us to walk in that. He wants us to walk after things that are not true. He wants us to walk after things that are dead. He wants us to believe in the dead and things of that nature. And we have to understand that no, we are not. We have to speak to ourselves first. We got to deal with ourselves first. Besides what's going out into the world, we got to start with ourselves first. That's why I say to be the change that we want to be. You got to like sit back and just analyze what's been going on. You go out here, you do things every day and move about every day, and it's like you're just going with the flow. Or you think just because you don't care that things are going to, you're not going to be responsible for anything and things like that. And no, it's not so. We're here for a purpose, and we have the choice to choose the right thing. And how do and that's why the enemy come and he set up these buildings, what they call churches, and they have people in there and they trying to tell you what these things mean instead of having a relationship with God and knowing in the Word and knowing by experience what these things are and what is really going on. But we have the choice. Each and every day we are waking up. Nobody wakes us up. We darn sure don't wake ourselves up. But no one wakes us up, right? But God. We get up and our breath is in us. We ought to be thankful, and we can't be calling on anything because we know we can't be serious to think that something else woke us up, or just as lightly said, oh, it was just a higher power, where some people didn't wake up. So what makes you think that whatever that was that didn't allow them to wake up can't not allow you to wake up, or whatever you believe woke you up, but you're not manifesting it in your life. You just taking it for granted. You just wake up every day, you do what you want to do, how you want to do it, but it wasn't you that created you. So my point is to serve. Who are you going to serve? So we come in this world, right? And we just got to get to the point where if you don't serve God, you will serve. If you don't submit to God. And let's put good, because everything good comes from God. Anything good that we do, it comes from God, right? So you got to look at that part. If you're doing good and your intentions are good and something bad happens out the outcome, right? Because you can't be good without God. You can't be anything without God, or it's going to be bad. So if you think that you're doing something good, but the outcome is not good, and your intentions meant well, you got to find out what the problem is. You got to find out what the root is. You got to find out, Father. You got to ask God, the Father, our Father, what should I do? How should I serve? How should I do this? How should I do that? You have to really be born again, because when we were born into this flesh. We were born, which means we know we're going to, the temptations of the world, we're going to be into all this stuff because of what was done before us, starting with Adam. Okay? And just that nature alone, it rises up against God. That's why we have to fast, because we put it in subjection for ourselves, to discipline ourselves so we can humble ourselves before God. See, we think, well, it's so many misunderstanding about the most uh, most simple obligations of being a spiritual being in this world. It's a spiritual but physical obligation. And it's such a misunderstanding. It's not that hard to fast. And I have a clipping that, people have twisted it and turned. It's just so much stuff going on out there. And I understand. I understand what we've been through. I understand the ins and outs. And that's why we are here as the chosen ones, to explain and to show in our own lives. Because so you can understand, for the ones that don't know, for the ones that are lost, and for the ones that may be falling away or have fallen away. You understand? So we have a job to do with one another. Like, when I win, everybody should win. That's connected to me, at least. It shouldn't be. And God connects us. You don't know who's connected to you. You don't know who life depends on you. Because, see, I know when I was growing up, when our teacher was telling us, or you would hear things like, what can you do to change the world? It was the world at this point. It wasn't just your family, or just your class, or just your town, or your city. It was the world, right? We were to change the world, and to be like, what can we do to be effective to change the world because of the things that was going on, right? And so if we understand that everything good, Satan is the opposite, which is bad, right? And he is a counterfeit also. So whatever is created by God, which is everything, anything that's other things just like that can be not created, but counterfeited, copied, mimicked. Okay? So people give too much glory or too much credit to the devil, and demonize things, because why? When God is in charge, the Bible says he created everything, and everything was made by him. So when you start seeing things, you start understanding the basic things that our Father has given us, then we'll understand what's going on, and then we start to learn the process of what is our place here, before we can focus on everything else. And that's what I've been dealing with, and that's what he's been showing me. And man, it's a process, and it's like, you really have to let go of everything. Like, I just think back, I used to think like that when I was younger too. Like, I wouldn't, but I used to think like this: I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do this. As far as the more you learn about, if you read the word, like, boy, these people were like, because they had Jesus. So that's how I looked at it. Like, we do have Jesus, but then I was young, so I'm like, he was walking the earth at one point with the disciples, with the people, healing and everything. And it's like everybody came to know who he was, but they still wasn't trying to accept him, wasn't just allowed him, just they just didn't really understand, right? And took a lot of things for granted that we do today, because they had them, but then we do the same thing. That's what God showed me, that yes, you and every other person, you can and will at times in your life, or at a time in a season in your life, where you can end up doing the same thing because of this flesh, or until you have to come out of bondage in the mind. Because what you're taught, if you're not taught by God, even then, if you're not taught by God and the Holy Spirit, you will still do the same thing. You will still misuse what God give you. You still will take him for granted, and you still will question him and doubt. Meaning, it's God don't mind if you question. God, show me this. God, why is this happen? Why did that happen? Start doing it, and then he show you, and then you're gonna be like, oh well, I didn't know. Yeah, God will reveal it to you. He will show you. So, but when you doubt God, after all you find out about him and that knows that he can do, you see the disciples did it. They walked with him and everything. And he even told them, like, he was okay, because he knew that these things were going to happen, but he didn't be upset. He didn't get all in his feelings or anything. He just said, I know this is what you're going to do. Just chill out, be calm, be quiet, because I already know the flesh that you're in. But because God is Jesus, and Jesus is God, he knew that he was going to make disciples out of them. And then just walk before us. Just because he had the 12 disciples, they helped him walk this thing out in man. Okay? So that human beings can do it. It's like a completion. It's like an order. You understand? That's why whoever he picked, who he picked, but, well, he chose who he chose, but they had to willingly walk with him. You understand? That's how that went. He was walking. All people was following him, but he chose 12 that he can make an example and disciple. Because you got to do this in the flesh. Everything has to be. God is strategic. God is excellence. God is mathematical. Everything to the T. He's perfect. You got to understand that. And he's eternal. So you got to understand that this thing plays out spiritually, physically, and body. You got to look at it. It's like, it's so amazing, but you got to stick to the basics of the foundation, so that you can grow, that you can flow, that God can plant the seeds that the seeds that he planted in us can start to harvest and flourish. That's why he used the kingdom of heaven. Like, this is why he used the parables. The parables are the main things of what how the kingdom of heaven is to operate. You understand? It's so amazing. It's so amazing how all this is coming together. All this is making sense. And only way this can happen is if you do the basic things to coming out of yourself, to denouncing things within yourself. You understand? And not thinking it is you and it's by you doing something good. That's why God used the people that he used, that murder, that curse, that took this one and that one. And he used whoever he wanted to use to prophesy, and all these things. God used people that we're not perfect and that we're not operating on their own. I mean that that surrender to let him operate through them, but not knowing that it wasn't on their own, because if it was on their own, he wouldn't have never chose them. You understand? He choose the ones that know that it is only by God that they go. It is only by God that they lead and live and all that. So that's why I said, back to the beginning, when you wake up in the morning, it's only by God that we woke up this morning. So we don't get up and be all like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to go about my day, keep doing this repeatedly. This is what we've been doing as a human being. Get up every day, we make our own plans, and we eat what we want to eat. We do everything that we want to do, but we don't know if it's God or not. It may not be bad according to us, but if it's not God's will, it's bad. It's like disobedience, but really it's like you're just here, just moving around, don't know. You're like, you understand? So now when it comes disobedience is when he's calling you to do something and you're not answering him. That's when it becomes disobedient. I'm telling you, I've been showing you, I've been guiding you, I lead you to do this, and you're doing it your way. And the first thing, and you know how you know that this could be happening? Because you'll be talking about everybody else. You'll be saying everything wrong with everybody else. That's when you know that God is talking to you and that you need to do something about that. Starting with your own life. You can't go out there running trying to fix everybody else, tell everybody else how to do this and how to do that, when who are you listening to? Are you listening to yourself? Then that's a number one no. Because who told you you were right, and who told you that everybody's supposed to be doing what you say do? And that's where we get to religion. Religion makes people go into a box, and then not only that, you are in a box. You're in a wall with four corners and stuff like that. I don't care how big the church is. You're in there. You're boxed in. And because we are the church, and the church is outside of a building, because we're the church, and we're supposed to be everywhere we go. We should be the church. We should be professing Christ. We should be imitating Christ, right? Because you never know. Because if people don't go in that building, they might not ever have a interaction with what the true and living God, the representatives look like, right? So you want to focus on what God, if God is showing you something about people or someone else, you have to look in the mirror and talk to yourself. And whatever you would say to a person about that, say it to yourself. Denounce, renounce it within yourself, because it could be something so small, but got you operating and thinking that you were right all this time. I mean, I heard so many testimonies, even within myself, that people just go and live in life and they think that they're right. Because, I mean, it's people that go through things, that live life, and they're not wrong because they haven't been raised up with Christ, in the home or any religion or anything. But everything went exactly the way they wanted to go in life until something happens. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you start seeing problems and situations, you're going to just think that you're good until something has to happen. You don't know what bad looks like until something happens to you. You don't know what you got good until you don't have it. You understand? So this is what we got to understand, where God is taking us at. So I just want to um, open the door to a new way of learning and being within yourself. But that's our, that's our reason of living, is knowing our purpose and knowing what we need to know for within ourselves, self-awareness, and to be alert of what's going on around us. But we have to first start on knowing who we're serving. We don't want to be serving anyone. We want to be a servant of God, first of all. And also with our Father, like we want to be faithful. We want to be good and faithful servants to God. And Satan wants that also for us. Except with him is repercussions, is like tragedy, is really bad. But what it's not good. It's like it's bad. So you don't want to live like that, and a false of happiness and peace. You don't want to live in that. I know I don't. So I'd rather go through. So don't think because you're going through something or been through some things that, oh, that was so bad for you that you have to stay at a place where you'll never know, because you let these things that happen to you um, hold you back and stop you from seeing what God has for you and who you really are. And that's what we've been doing in this world, not realizing everybody's talking, everybody's pointing a finger. At the beginning of everything, we have to take accountability, responsibility for our own lives, especially when we get old enough to understand and know. When we get old enough, not jumping ready to go have sex and get married, make babies and all that, and not ready for none of that, because you got to be focused on yourself first. You got to know who you are and all that, these things of that nature. And there's not an age to that. So we have to get back to that. So that's the only thing that I want people to understand in my life, and what I'm headed towards is the relating. I'm always going to relate with my sister and my brother and family. That's how we relate with things. We've been through the same things. We overcome the same things, and that's the only thing that we should be alike in Christ-like. That's it. Other than that, he put something in me that he didn't put in you and anybody connected to you, anybody around you. We all have a unique seed planted into us, which is a purpose, which is a spiritual thing that has to come out internally and externally. So I'm just thankful that I'm at this place where I can be a teacher of good, a phenomenal teacher of extraordinary things. And then the most important thing, manifest the victories of serving God, being a good and faithful servant, with just surrendering my life to him, submitting to him, choosing him. He chose me first, so I got to choose him back, because that's the only way I'm going to win in victory. That's the only way that I'm going to know everything I need to know to eternity. You understand? Because that's what it's about. We have to understand that we're going to live again and again and again and again in eternity. It's who you're going to live with. You're going to live with Jesus, our Father, our Lord and Savior, or you're going to live with Satan in the lake of fire. It's your choice. That's what will is. The will to do good or the will to do bad. We got to get to that place. And our responsibility, accountability is say, I'm going to take this here, right here, and submit it back to God. Now we had to do that because Adam and Eve bit the apple. Because we was fine. We was fine chilling with God, and He walking with us in the spirit, and just having all good. We was good. But because of the apple, I mean, it was coming. It would have been time for us to eat that, but you can't eat that yet because it was too much for us at that time. So, with God being the Father, with God being the Creator, He created everything, and He knows, but He still gives us our will. We have a soul to make the choice of the will that we will serve God wholeheartedly. He won't make us. He's not that type of God. Like, that's not good. You make someone. God don't gotta make us do nothing. He can make sure on our behalf, but guess what? We gotta be willing participants. But He's not making us do nothing, because guess what? He's the Creator. So if you won't do it, another one will. Okay? There's too many of us in this world. Even though it's a few chosen, many are called. So, God knows what we're going to do before we do it. And things have to come to pass, whether we like it or not. You understand? And that's why, because God is not a perspective person. God don't... He don't feel no type of way. He don't get offended. There's no offense in God. That's what you see a lot. People getting offended, especially people who is not pleased with themselves. They get offended with everything. You can't offend me because I know who I am. You can't offend me, and I can't make nothing up because I'm not the Creator. So I can't get offended of things, and there shouldn't not be no offense. So basically saying, if you say no, God's not going to get offended, and He created us. He's not going to, oh, you don't want to serve me? Okay. I'm not going to force you, but I'm going to love the brakes off you to the point that you're going to want to serve me. So anybody who chooses not to serve God, they wasn't created to serve God. So just understand, Satan has seeds out here too, and they have been making things and mixing and matching with things that God created. So, because he want to be God, but he can't do it, God. He can't be everywhere, and he can't be the first. He can't be the first. He can make stuff now. He ain't created, but he can make stuff now, because all he doing is taking what God already created and perverting it. That's all he can do. Pervert it and counterfeit it. But he is not the creator. He's not the author and the finisher, the beginning or the end. He's not none of that. So whose side do you want to be on? Serve God wholeheartedly, people. And let's go to victory land. A victorious generation. You understand? And live life, and life more abundantly. God's original plans and purposes for life. Stop allowing the enemy to confuse you and confuse everything around you. Let's bring this thing back to subjection, to the obedience of Christ. Because that's what the power we have to, that's the power we have to do. Okay? So, I am so phenomenal with Victory Love Solutions, and this is the beginning of an amazing season, shall I say. So I look forward to you guys, and to alerting you and awareing you and teaching you some real heavy things that we were supposed to know from the beginning, that was really stolen from us, that was and exposing the enemy and the counterfeiting and the deception and the lies that he's been leaking out to our people as of today. So I love you guys. Take care, and I'm ready, and you stay ready also, and I look forward to you guys.